Oh, thank you so much. It really is, geez, 6 months ago, it felt like I'm part of a dream. And being here with the two of you who we just recently met in person, really does feel like a dream come true. It's really just incredible. And I've got this is a training and you guys to thank for that. And just a little bit of a background as to how I got here, because it's a little bit different to Mill's story. But one thing we did have in common was that we were not going to sell this. We were unified in the fact that we were only going to use the product and we were standing strong beside each other for that. But I'll get to that in a minute. So, from a very young age, I always knew that I was here to do something in the world. And, I always had a problem with authority. So when I had a job, I found out how to work smart and not hard and did it as little as possible. When I had the opportunity to open my own hair salon and become a proper entrepreneur and business owner and establish, a salon that was at the top of its game, it took me 11 years to get it to how I'd always dreamed that it would be. And one day, feeling in a lot of pain and super stressed out, I realized that although I was booked 3 weeks in advance and I had the most amazing team that worked so well together, I was all alone. I was all alone because a boss is never truly part of a team. They can create a wonderful team by the leadership that they have, but who do we have above us? So that was quite a hard reality to face. And I just didn't have a life. My work was everything. My ethics completely changed, and I put everything into what I did. So it started having an effect on my body. And slowly but surely, I decided to sell the salon. And I was still tied into a 2-year contract to hand over. And 2 months after we signed the contract, I slipped in the salon and injured my back. And I really had to relook at my whole life. So once the salon was sold and I was now in therapy, I went down the whole route of, looking out for what's going on with my back, really wanting to explore alternative options and really just learning hard and expensive lessons with the medical industry. But I prayed every single day that something would come. I started doing a digital marketing course, and I was able to bring in the turnover into the salon that I wasn't able to create. And I thought, wow, I've got a new career ahead of me. And once COVID hit, it was completely traumatizing because now not only was I responsible for a whole lot of people, now we didn't even know when our next paycheck was going to happen. And also in South Africa, we don't have free education, we don't have free medical. So that's also why X39 is so popular here, but I'll get back to that. So then I had to go back and I realized that I couldn't do this anymore. I was holding on to an identity that no longer served me. And I was also holding on to the fact that I could have actually tied up that contract and sold the business. And I actually just decided that that was that. The condition was that I had to go and open the salon again and make it all COVID ready, which was completely against everything that I believed in, masks and plastic between people and not allowed to touch and all of that stuff, kind of stuff really freaked me out. So once the sale was through, I actually said to my husband, I'm moving 5 hours out of the city. I'm going to the country. I know your business is here. He's got an amazing carpentry business. And I decided at the end of 2020 to follow my faith in God and whatever He wanted me to follow my heart for and just come to the country and heal. And it's so interesting because I had a job where I was listening to people's problems all the time. So back then, if I'd discovered the patches, it might have been very easy to recommend them. But I didn't want to. I had compassion fatigue. I was peopled out. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Just sitting on the farm with the animals was my absolute dream. But every year I prayed and I asked God what the next opportunity is. And I got involved in a beautiful online community that had a vision that matched mine, and that was that we deserve abundance and we deserve to live in a better world. And that is actually where I met Merle and where I met George. So George obviously approached me and said, I've got this amazing health product for you to look at. Please watch this video. Now, he said it was an amazing health product, and I come from the hair and beauty industry. So I wasn't interested in anything. He knew that I was very busy with this community. I was totally focused on, putting my energy into creating a better world. And I kept saying, I'm not going to watch this. I'm not interested. Anyway, 4 months later, he got hold of me. I was having issues with my health because of stress, and he said, for goodness sakes, please, this video is only 2 minutes long. Please watch it. Well, I said, okay, 2 minutes? Why didn't you say that 4 months ago? And I watched this video, and it was the 2 minute video on phototherapy. And my whole world changed. Seeing the light through that hand was just, the message had been answered, my prayers had been answered. And I got back to George and I said, why didn't you tell me that it was technology that's been hidden for us for all these years? Why didn't you tell me that it's the stepping stone between pharma and energy healing? And why didn't you tell me that it could potentially change lives of millions of people? So what I want to say is, when you are sending videos to people, make sure they know how long they are and maybe a little bit about what you're expecting from them. When you send them the "this is an info" link, don't just send them the link. Tell them what you expect them to watch, and meet people where they're at. Because if they are good at learning with their eyes, then tell them which videos to watch, how long they are, and what to expect. If they want to read articles, tell them where to find the articles. So that's the one thing I want to share. The other thing I want to share is that I knew nothing about network marketing. I knew nothing about network marketing when I signed up. I didn't want to know anything about network marketing because, as I've been reflecting, preparing for this chat today, I realized that I was at the top of my game with my salon. And to have to learn something new and be good at it was so daunting for me that I absolutely resisted it. And that's why I was so aligned with Merle when she said, I'm going to use it, but we are not going to do it. So George signs me up. Eventually, I get signed up with George. I knew nothing. I had to wait for 3 days for him to help me sign Merle up because I didn't even know how to share a link. I knew nothing. And I only signed up because I made him wait for 4 months, and it was very exciting, and I definitely wanted to try the product. Coming from my background, I'm one of the people that wants to try it, have my own experience so that I can share it with authenticity. And I said, what do you need from me to make you happy and to get you off my back? What do you need for me? What package do you need me to sign up on? And how much money do I have to spend every month? I'll do it, as long as you don't breathe down my neck. And what was I doing in that moment? I was making George my boss. I was making George my boss. I was making my upline my boss, and I wasn't making them my ally. And when I told Merle about it, I was just mentioning this patch that I'm going to try. And I hadn't even finished talking about it. I wasn't even pitching to her. We were just having a conversation as friends. And she said, oh, I'll try that. Let's try it, but I'm definitely not going to share it. So I said, great. I started patching before her, and I got the normal things: clarity of thinking, a little bit more energy, but the pain in my back was still there. But because I was curious, and even though I didn't want to admit it at the time, I did want to learn. I just didn't know, coming from the experience that I had as a boss, that I had the support in an upline. And I just want to mention now how grateful I am for the upline that we have with the This Is a Team, because going on all these conferences and being able to rub shoulders with so many successful people, and a lot of them, majority of them are in the This Is a Team, but a lot of them aren't. And just having conversations with them, and just Steve, with you showing that, going through a lot of the things I wanted to mention on your website, it's just like, these people care. In my salon, I had my salon operations manual printed and laminated. Every single page was all over the workroom for my staff, because I wanted them to succeed. I wanted them to be good at what I expected from them so that my team could thrive. And you've done that for us as well. You haven't put it all up and laminated all over a room, but it's on a beautiful website, and it is so easy to use. So I just want to say thank you so much for that support, because even though I was in resistance to it and it wasn't working for me in the way that I'd hoped straight away, being a one-patch wonder, I was plugged in. Very curious, but I was plugged in. I joined calls, I watched YouTube videos, I tried to learn as much as possible. And then, of course, Merle had a different experience. Merle had success after 3 days, started sharing it with people, and they had success after like a couple of hours. So this was amazing to watch unfold before me, because I watched from a distance, and Harvey started seeing and noticing what was happening with Merle, and he really did try. George and Harvey tried so many times to motivate me, to mentor me, and I just kept saying, I'm not ready. I made them my boss. I didn't make them my ally. Very important to remember because this is your business. This is your business. If you've joined this, you can make it work if you take ownership of it. You really can. So I hadn't, and I was watching Merle and other builders all around me that were just doing so well. And I had every excuse that I didn't want to succeed and that I couldn't do it. And in fact, when it came to the incentives, Merle was saying, I'm going for Prague and I'm going for the cruise. And can I be honest with you? I didn't even look at the requirements. I just automatically thought, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. There's no ways. I'll just, good for Merle. That's awesome. I'm so excited for her because I'm so happy when the people below me do well. And that's another thing that I love about this business is that even though I'm Merle's upline, she was doing the work and she was making a lot of money because she was doing the work. And I was benefiting from it because she was my first line. And, I was in a position that I could earn commission. And I'm so grateful for that because I couldn't ignore the opportunity. I thought that this other thing that I was putting all my love and attention into was the thing that answered my prayers. But one day I just woke up and I realized God has literally put this in my lap. He's literally served it to me on a platter. I have a right leg that is thriving, and I've been in resistance to it for almost a year and a half. And all I need to do is just put a little bit of energy in, go on to this is it, admit that I need help. Watching Merle and Harvey work together was a really beautiful way for me to learn, but I wasted a year and a half, guys. So don't do that. When they ask you when you want to launch your business, don't go into fear. Just do it. Do it, even if one person comes onto the call, because the next time you start asking around for people to come and join you, more will come. So don't wait as long as I did, because sure, the minute I started putting a little bit of effort in, guess what happened? I went from manager to SPD. I didn't go through any of the other ranks. That's what happened. And I'm so very blessed and so very honored to be able to share my journey, because even if you don't want to do this, even if you think you're not going to be good enough, there is so much support around you in order for you to succeed. And you don't need to dye your hair purple and put loads of tattoos on your body to express your individualism, because once you get the system under your belt and you truly learn how to use the This Is It system, you'll be able to bring your personality into it and you'll be able to change so many people's lives. So yeah, go for it. Go for it. The trainings are amazing. And again, I'll just share my process with that, because the first training that I attended was the This Is It convention. Virtually, it was a disaster. Mo will tell you more about that. But we eventually got on, and I watched it, but I kind of had it in the background because subconsciously, I knew what I wanted to do, but I was still fighting it. And then what happened was the next conference came, and that was the Believe. And believe is one of my favorite words, because that's what I did when I left the city and I came to the country and I left my husband. I believed that I'd be able to make it. And I moved to a place where so many people said, oh, you want to come live here? Have you got 10 million Rand? Because then you'll be a millionaire in no time, because your 10 million Rand will become 1 million Rand. And I thought, oh, really? Is that what she's saying? Because I'm going to do this and I'm going to change that reality. And with LifeWave, just from putting the effort in and following the system, and I mean this, they say keep it simple. And for a while, I didn't really get to keep it simple, because I'm technically minded. I used to teach hairdressers how to mix color and the science of color. So I wanted to learn all the technical things about the patch. And then I realized I'm not David Schmidt. We might share the same vision, but I'm not him. And I definitely don't have all that experience under my belt. So I will never talk science. I point them to the This Is It info sites. I show them which article to go and read. But this is gold. The pro strategy, Because if anybody is interested in changing their lives and doing this as a business, this is all you need to show them. I was doing a launch presentation this morning for somebody, and we got through the product part really well. And as we got to the business parts, I kind of gauged the energy of the people, and I realized that if I had that picture and only that, I would have been able to explain the business in 5 minutes and keep it super simple. Instead, now what we're going to do is we're going to have another call so that I can just open up and explain the business even more. So everything that you guys do is absolute gold. Believe in yourself. Don't allow that voice to come in and tell you that you can't do anything. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that we've done this business in South Africa, myself and Merle. We've done it pretty much virtually. Merle and I knew each other for 2 years virtually. We'd never ever met before we went on the cruise together. So we knew each other virtually. She joined because she knew, liked, and trusted the way that we'd worked together before. And that is also the reason that I knew George, because we knew each other virtually. I also only met George on the cruise this year. So it's just been absolutely amazing. And we can all get there. I celebrate being with Lifeway for 2 years on the 30th of November. And if I'd followed the system, I probably could have got where we needed to get, in 8 months and not 18. But you can do it wherever you want to. So the 90 days is obviously a system that works, and it is best to just put your all in for that 90 days for as much as possible every single day. But if you can't do that, don't give up. Don't give up. Because it took me 18 months before I realized that the patches were working for me, and I used them religiously every single day. And it took me 18 months to get my story before I started sharing this as a business. And you don't need to do that. There's 20 years behind you, and there are the best network marketers from all over the world that are here to help us succeed, even not knowing anything. So thank you so much to Harvey. Thank you so much to Steve and Gina. It's always such a blessing to meet you in person and just see that you really do have the same vision as David, and you really want to change the world one patch at a time. And thank you, George, and to the rest of my downline. You guys are such a blessing. And next time we are going on all the incentives, and that is where, sure, you come back so fired up that you just cannot help changing your strategy or doing something different so that you can just share it even more and more and more. So thank you so much. Over to you, Mel. It's been such a blessing and an inspiration to work by your side. And even though you're my downline, I find you very inspiring, and you've really helped me get through so many barriers and blocks. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Candice. And when Can said that she made George her boss, George used to come to me and say, Merle, how am I going to get through to her? What can I do? How can we get there? Because I was working with George already, because I didn't make him my boss. I started off working with George, mainly because on the 8th of December in 2022, we got on a call with George so he could sign me up, because Candice didn't know what to do. But luckily for me, I had done network marketing before, very unsuccessfully. So when I signed up, Des, my husband, said, what on earth are you doing? I said, well, I've been in complementary therapy for nearly 30 years. I'm a nutritionist. I looked at all the information, and what we have, and we don't have the fancy packs that Steve's showing. In South Africa, we only get X39 in a white pack, okay? We're very deprived here, Steve. This is all we get. So I said to Des, everything that I know, this product is going to change our lives. So we're going to patch, but I promise I'm not doing this again, because, when I'm not putting you through this. But during COVID, Des hadn't worked for 9 months. He's a civil engineer. And the reality was that we had a lot of financial stress. My son was finishing school. He was at a private school, because as Candice said, in South Africa, we pretty much have to do private schools, private medical care. We didn't have any support during COVID. And when I started seeing results and started telling people, I was just telling my clients. I wasn't really going out there. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have implemented Steve's system straight away. Because when Steve said to me the other day, well, how do you do it? I said, well, you said put 20 left, 20 right. So I did it. And then I did it again. Because if Steve says that that's what you must do, then you just do it, you execute. But by January, last year, when I started seeing that clients of mine were having incredible results and I had to start building, my son had gone to chef school and I didn't want him riding a motorbike there because, again, in South Africa, I know people think we have animals roaming the streets. Well, we don't really, but in the neighborhood I live in, we have cows. And I didn't want him hitting a cow on a motorbike. And, close to where we are, it's fine, but the chef school he goes to is up a valley of 1,000 hills, and it is a valley, and there are 1,000 hills, and there are animals, the cows. And so he used my car every day, and I have my practice at home, so I saw my clients here, I did my nutrition clients online, but now I wanted to start building my business, and I couldn't get out to people because he had my car. So I just started phoning people and getting onto Zooms. And a lot of my team is around the world. My first senior director is in Australia. She was on the incentive now, but she was in Vietnam and the rest of us were in Europe. When we went to Prague in June, I only had one of my team with me. And this time we had 8 of my team with me, and we had one in Vietnam and a couple who qualified who couldn't get visas from South Africa in time. So things have really moved, but I did it all from behind my computer. So thank goodness for Zoom. So in-person meetings are wonderful and we do them where we can. But even Candace and I, we live 14 hours apart if you go by car. A bit less obviously less if you fly. But I know Harvey and Olga are coming to South Africa in 2 weeks' time. They're going to be in Johannesburg. I live in Durban. It's an 8-hour drive or an hour flight. So our country is really big and going anywhere else takes us a very long time. So we're part of Europe. But when we go anywhere, we fly via a hub. So now we've just been to Marrakesh, we went via Turkey. When we go to Europe, we go via Dubai or Doha or somewhere. So we go to the States, same thing. So it takes us time to get everywhere, but we are blessed because our upline are all over. So when Harvey, our week manager, took me 3 months, okay? I wasn't quick. I wasn't like Steve said at the beginning. You can go manager by the end of the weekend, and I truly believe you can. Because if we launch businesses, which is what I say to every single person now, as you sign up or as they sign up, when do you want to launch your business? Give me a date. And the sooner the better. Now get a hold of all your friends, get them on a call. Let's get 4 friends. Let's get you to manager. And that happens. But say it took me 3 months to get there. I didn't do it in a weekend. And then I was plodding along and I kept signing people up, and Harvey was watching and he kept saying, well done, well done. And in August last year, he said, I'm going to help you. I'm going to mentor you for 6 weeks. If you'd like, do you want to get to the next rank? So I said, yeah, of course I want to get to the next rank, Harvey. So he said, all right, 6 weeks with your team. And a year later on the cruise, on the first night that we were on the 20th anniversary cruise, I went senior presidential director and Harvey was still mentoring me. So the 6 weeks, for the longest 6 weeks in history, because we still talk almost every day. And Harvey and Olga, without you, I wouldn't be here. And obviously Steve and Gina and Mike and Sahi, but Olga and Harvey held my hand through every step of the process and taught me what to do. And it's simple. Just keep it simple. We prayed for this. We all know this is what we wanted. And we have something very special in our hands because David Schmidt has given us a product that absolutely changes lives. But keep it simple. Once you start complicating it, you make life difficult. So when you start bringing in other patches, I see it all the time. I mean, I'm a therapist. I know lots about all the product, but I don't focus on anything except X39. My local pharmacy patch patients every single day in clinic. Obviously in clinic, they're using other things than X39 because they want to get rid of their pain and things quickly. But what do they then tell them to patch with? X39. They sign them up as preferred customers, send them away and say, if you want to heal X39. And it's incredible because they are an allopathic pharmacy patching people every single day. And the nursing sister in the pharmacy is one of my directors, and now the pharmacist is the director. So as we spread the word, so we're changing lives. And as Candace said, because we don't have a great public medical system, in fact, we don't want to go near that anymore. It's a total disaster. More and more people in South Africa are prepared to pay for X39. So when I look at this as a team, And I see people, especially in America and in Europe, saying the product is so expensive. You have to understand what it's like in South Africa. So our exchange rate is over 18 Rand to the dollar. Our salaries are terrible for most people. So when they're buying a sleeve of X39, it's costing 18 times more, at least, what it costs in the States. And yet people are signing up and they're patching. So think about what is it that you want? Do you want to pay to stay healthy or pay to be sick? So a lot of people are happy to pay to be sick, and especially we see that in Europe, because everything is paid for. They say, oh, but we can't get our medical plans or whatever it is to pay for X39, but if we need medicine, it'll be paid for. So they're actually quite happy to be sick, and the state pays for them to stay sick. But if you want to be healthy, then you patch, because then you're not going to be sick. But what is a blessing for me is that I have people in my downline, and we had a Zoom call this afternoon. And the testimony on the Zoom was somebody who was on morphine patches when she started patching with X39 5 months ago. She was in a terrible car accident. She lost her dad in the accident. She's got metal rods in her back. In fact, everybody on the call, it was a whole lot of women on the call this afternoon. I think we were all in tears when we heard her testimony. But she's pain-free. And obviously, everybody's story is different, and there are no guarantees, because we know that the product doesn't claim to cure anything. And David Schmitz makes sure that we all know that. So you must make sure that you give that disclaimer, but also manage people's expectations. Because when our stem cells are activated, we don't know how long it's going to take for them to work. And we also don't know what else is wrong in people's bodies. Now, I'm quite lucky because I often send people for blood tests, because I work as a nutritionist, and I can see what's happening in their bodies. So I can see the inflammation. I can see if the inflammation is going down. But if you don't have those tests, now Candace has her tests, because I sent her for bloods just before she started patching. So we know that her inflammatory markers have gone down, but it took she only had blood tests 18 months later. But we don't know what's wrong in the body. So somebody might say, well, this is my problem, and X39's done nothing for it. But how do you know what else it's fixed? You don't. So we have to trust, and we have to know that our body's intelligence is far greater than our own, and that we designed, the Lord designed us to be unique beings and to have this innate ability for our bodies to heal, and that they're going to heal in divine timing. And you just got to keep patching. And a lot of my team, especially those who are in the medical field, have realized that even the 3 months that David Schmidt says you must patch for is often not enough. Often it takes a lot longer for people to see results. So I have people that 10 months later, the pain from something that they've had for 20 years goes. So just manage expectations. But don't tell people that if you start patching, you're going to have a relief really quickly. Because I find that people will say, okay, well, I'll sell you 10 sample patches, and you're definitely going to have a result. And then they don't have a result with 10 patches. And then you've lost them. Whereas if you tell them they need to patch for 3 months, and you need to give it 3 months to see, most people are going to have a result in 3 months, or they're going to see some things, even if it's not the main thing that went wrong with them. And then just help them build managers. Duplicate. Harvey taught me, that's all you do. Keep it simple. Be intentional about what you're doing. Make sure that you have calls all over the world, especially if your team is everywhere. I have a team in Australia. So every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m., we do a call together, because Eileen is amazing. She's building an incredible team there. But she has a team in UK. I've got 4 teams in the UK. So that's a different time zone. When Steve phoned me last night, he said, I'm sorry it's so late. And I said, well, Candace and I have actually just got off a training call with the UK. It was 11:30 and we got off the call our time. But for them, it's only like 9:30. So you've got to manage those time zones. I know Steve and Gina do it all the time. You get up early in the morning to be on calls. But if we do a call for, say, New Zealand. I did a launch call for New Zealand this week. I'll be doing it at 9 a.m. my time, and it's 7 p.m. their time. So everybody's got different time zones, but everybody needs to be intentional. And you just need to support those leaders. and build them up, because the more people who are presenting, the better. The more hands that you have on your business, the better you do. Harvey taught me that. Don't be the only one. Don't keep all those people to yourself. Make sure that the people in your upline can help you, because that's the blessing of the This Is a Team. Every single person will help you. So Steve's been on team trainings with my team. He's explained to them how to build, and that was so impactful, because he's so good at it. That's, you know, when Steve explains it, it's far better than me explaining it. Harvey's amazing at teaching people to raise their leadership level, because if you don't raise your leadership level, you're never going to get anywhere. So if you think, oh, well, you know, you ask somebody, well, where's your leadership lid? And they say, oh, I'm a 10. There's no way, it's because I'm not a 10. Harvey will tell them he's not a 10. You know, we've always got something to learn from the people above us and the people below us. Everybody has something to teach us. So always remember that. And then know that you have to work for it. I mean, it's called network marketing for a reason. And, you know, if you don't work for it, then you're not going to get there. And of course, plug into everything that Steve and Gina give to us. All those things, all the virtual conferences. I mean, I just remember This Is It. The first one, we had our links, and first of all, we battled to get our links. So I was emailing Gina, and she was saying, okay, we'll do it like this. And we paid differently because we couldn't register on the system. We couldn't register on the system because they hadn't set up Zoom for South Africa. And the first night I go in to try and, you know, set it up. The next day I had a watch party, and I had like 20 people coming, and I'd organized catering and all sorts of things. And I thought, we can't get in. And I'm like a crazy woman. I'm phoning Harvey. I'm saying, got to tell Steve, we can't get in. We can't see this. I'm phoning Chris Hutton because he's there, telling everybody we can't get on. And Steve had to make a plan, and they set up a YouTube for South Africa. So we watched the next day, but on YouTube. So we had our tickets, and they got us on, because of course that's what Steve and Gina do. They make a plan. And then I believe it was sorted. We could get on Zoom. And now you have to be on the net, you know, January. You all have to be there on Rise Up. You have to. I bought my ticket as soon as they came out. First day I had my ticket. Every single thing that Steve and Gina does is like gold. You've got to build from event to event. And it doesn't mean because we are that many hours away and it's hard for us to be there in person that we shouldn't do it. Just get your people together. I mean, we've gone to 2, 3, 4 in the morning watching. Last year's beginning of the year's virtual conference. We thought, okay, it's going to end at thinking about 2 for us. And there was about 4 a.m. and we were still like the matchsticks, but we weren't going to bed because we have to watch. Had my, you know, the champagne and the whatever, and I was sitting with only one friend by then making notes. Eventually she said, no, I'm going to bed. She lives 4 houses up the road, but we watch. And so it really is what you need to do. And even going to convention was amazing. But the best part was the day that Steve and Gina organized, because that's when you learn how to build. You have to be on those events. It's all very well. I mean, we love David Schmidt. We love everything he has to say. We watch all of those things, but that doesn't help you build your business. We know we've got the best product, but how do we get it into other people's hands? And how do we make people replicate? And that's just by following the system. And this week, again, I have a team in the UK where there's a person who wants to know every single thing about how they build the business before they start, and they want training. There's no need to train people. You just got to plug them in there. And I actually went and I copied all the links, and I said, you know, a lot of the onboarding, it's 1 minute, 2 minutes. You know, it's very, very short. Just go watch all of those things. When they want to know how do they swap legs, well, you just send them the link. If they can't find it on the themselves, you can actually go and open it in YouTube, send them the link, and they can watch how do they swap legs. Everything is there for you. So if you bought a franchise that cost you millions, you would study the material on how to run it. Well, you bought something that's worth millions, and it's going to be worth millions to your children. So go and study how to work it. And I say, then plug in. It's all there for you. And I don't think I have very much more to add, because it's just keep it simple and follow everything that Steve and Gina say, because that's all I did, because Harvey taught me to do it. And I just followed every single instruction Harvey gave me. And it took me 20 months from signing up to go to SPD. And if Candice and I can do it, And we just, two girls from South Africa, that anyone can, especially with our economy, but build it around the world. Get your teams everywhere, because the more countries you're in, the more successful you're going to be.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, girls. Absolutely incredible. I got pages and pages of notes. What a blessing you both are. And I love how you keep it so simple. I love how you told your struggles, and then you had a wake up moment and you just followed the system, and we're just duplicating that for your team to be so simple. Absolutely incredible.
Wow, ladies, I am so blessed. Even now, I said I was blessed to be your friends and be partnered up with you. Now it's at a whole nother level after listening. I mean, our phones are blowing up. Everybody, there's just the people that are engaged and they really get to hear each other's stories. Everybody wants to hear how people are going through life and how they're not. I mean, our whole invention, the reason why we call it Rise Up, is because we want people to rise up out of whatever they're going through, maybe their funk or whatever. You both were talking about this, and they need to hear that this is all leading up to January 10th and 11th, rising up, right? Well, what if we start rising up now before the end of the year? So look at all the things that did go into place. I love the way you talked about manager Merrill, how it took you 3 months, but it didn't frustrate. I mean, obviously it is frustrating, but you still are persevering and you're pushing through. This is a very good point, by the way. And I love how you both have different stories, Candace. You know, some people don't realize that there's some that are going to hit the rank very quickly. Whatever they did in life, who knows what, they all of a sudden can get it very quickly. But the others are laying a foundation. So while one person might hit SPD very quickly, the next person hits elite quicker. Or, you know, could happen from manager to director. Because if you look at it, it took her 3 months to go manager. As she learned what she needed to do, she learned and started implementing different things, kind of what Candace was saying. And look at how quickly then she went on to SPD, because still 20 months, when the average person took about 4 years before this team started coming into play, 20 months is very quick to hit the highest rank in LifeWave. So, but if you look at the averages, that first manager 3 months, obviously things changed, and look at how quickly it happened. And then I love the fact that Meryl, as a downline, was encouraging and giving everything she could pour into Candace. Come on, think about people that are like sabotaging their downline, let alone helping their upline. This is very, very unique about what you both are saying about our team and the community. I love how we've heard from doctors when they tell us how this positive community, even on this Saturday, can change your attitude and your lifespan by a lot. I mean, sometimes more than anything medical can help you. So this is very important. I mean, this could be the reason why people are having such positive health responses about the X39, because they're in this positive community. If they are plugged in on a Saturday like this. But this was one of the best trainings that I've ever heard on the entire 26 months we've been involved. And most of it is because you guys just shared your heart, and you're so far away. I mean, come on. I had no idea that you only you didn't have the beautiful packaging. They only have the white sleeves, okay? And I didn't know that it was 18 times the cost of what we pay here in America. Americans, wake up. Look at what's going on here. If they're SPD in 20 months, you should already be there. It's just, the fact is that it's very interesting what's happening, but because you put the country, and because the other fellow folks like my friend Chris has helped create this momentum that's in South Africa. Momentum is everything, everyone. The fact that we have this momentum happening can really, that's why what I threw out to everybody, Candace was there, so was Meryl, so was Terry and Des. When I threw out, I was sitting in the seat, and God was telling me because the company asked me, can you cast a vision for 2025 for LifeWave? And I didn't hear the exact statistics, but I heard David Schmidt saying we're going to hit over 600 million in 2020 for 2024. But now they were saying now we're really for sure going to be 630, maybe 650. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 800 million, even though it sounds like a lot, to me it's kind of like, well, it's just safe. It's kind of safe. We're already hitting 200 million every year here. Let's throw out $1 billion company, when we were in Punta Cana to everyone, and the crowd went nuts, and everyone stood up and said, hey, we're going to be part of this. We want to be part of it. So this is what we're all doing together. And when you have momentum, this kind of thing can happen. When we all started, there was no momentum in South Africa. Some of these countries that Meryl is talking about, there's very little momentum, and now we're creating that momentum. So when we're going into 2025, we got plenty of time to still keep pushing through, because look at what Candace was saying, how quickly things turn around when you start setting your goals. And I love how Meryl is saying, implement what people are teaching. These aren't for like you to have popcorn today, like at our event in Rise Up. Meryl was telling me she's taking notes. She has toothpicks holding her eyes open, and she's staying awake because she's going to implement what was taught at these trainings. I also will say Rise Up, because of this studio we're having, will be very interactive for the virtual people. So start right now. You should have a numbers goal as to how many people you're going to have at the Rise Up, because the more people you have on, people keep saying this. If you don't, you got plenty of time now. What I love about the virtual is that they don't have to have a lot of plans. Just get your ticket. Oh, by the way, it's a 45-day replay. So you've got plenty of time to watch anything that you missed out. But interestingly, when you're on there, especially even on this Saturday, when you're on together as a team, you have a lot more impact together than if somebody's watching the replay by themselves. It's not, doesn't even seem as fun when you're by. No, it's good that we have it. But the fact that you really take advantage, everyone takes advantage of these Saturday trainings and have your team on, is going to see a lot more impact in your business.
Yeah, exactly.
You see any?
Girls, amazing, amazing, absolutely incredible. Thank you for being a blessing. Thank you for being a part of This Is It team, guys. Hey, listen, I'm telling you what, this is such a great share for people who are struggling. Is the system really working?
Yeah.
And also, is the product affordable? I mean, come on. Absolutely incredible. Thank you. Thank you.